Yippee-Ki-Yay, mother.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Hey, welcome to Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Podcast. What's going on, everybody?
Hey,
live.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Yeah.
Any deaths we want to talk about?
Robert Blake died.
Do we want to talk about that?
Little Rascals.
Yeah.
Lost Highway.
Lost
That
Highway.
Lost Highway.
That's
Yes.
scary.
Oof, that is a creepy
Killed
film.
his girlfriend or his wife. You know, that one. Robert
Yeah.
Blake.
Allegedly.
Yeah, but it seems like nobody seemed to mind.
In Cold Blood,
Right.
That is a fantastic movie.
and he's great in it.
The
novelization of that movie also is, I think, it's a classic.
Well, Truman Capote hated the movie. He thought he did not like the movie. He
Is that
loved,
true?
they changed the book on him. That's why.
Well, he's on our wheel at the end of the show. That one of that those two films are on the wheel.
In Cold Blood?
No, Infamous and Capote.
Well, are we talking about dead people now?
Was
Because
it someone else who died?
because there's the people that got left out of the Oscars memorial.
Oh, yeah.
Is a conversation, like Charles B. Dean, who was actually in Triangle of Sadness, Tom Sizemore, Anne Heche, Paul Sorvino.
Wow.
But there was a major person who died. His death was so notable. It was actually announced by the president of Israel. I was shocked he wasn't in the memoriam. Topol from Fiddler on the Roof
Fiddler
and
on the Roof.
9,000 other things. He died.
and he wasn't
wow.
in the Oscars thing.
He was not. He's 87.
Yeah.
He wasn't just in Flash Gordon. He was in tons and tons of stuff. And I read he performed Fiddler something like 3,500 times. Like unbelievable. Yeah, all over his career in the world and stuff. So he is somebody I grew up watching a lot of. So.
It's a shock that they can leave those people off the thing. How can you do that?
Well, they're getting slammed for it, too.
They're
They
always
always
gonna
do.
be
Every year,
something.
though, they get
But
slammed.
it happens every year. Remember
Yeah.
Bo Derek off at
Yeah.
Wimbledon.
Oh,
Or maybe-
Derek died?
Or maybe it was John Derek.
Paul Sorvino
Oh,
was
John Derek.
nominated
Bo
for an
Derek's
Oscar.
still alive.
Paul Sorvino, Topol was nominated for Best Actor.
Yeah, I was going to say
I thought-
Topol's the first Israeli Oscar nomination ever, and they didn't really even think about that.
But like,
He
I
was
mean,
in
Anne
the
Heche
Paul
has been
Newman
dead.
movie. I mean,
You know,
it's a
I
big
could.
deal.
Tom Sizemore maybe died after they built the list. I don't know, and they have to record that song and practice. Lenny Kravitz has to time all that stuff. But I mean, Anne Heche has been dead for a long time. I mean, I don't understand how they can do that.
I don't think
crazy.
they liked the way she died and that she was kind of.
Okay, but she was still an
Well,
actress
Paul
in Hollywood.
Sorvino should have been
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah, Paul Sorvino for
I mean,
sure.
He's done enough.
It's crazy. All right, so tonight we're going to talk about John's film called Collateral. I don't know if you can tell by the way he's dressed.
It's Collateral.
Then we're going to
Story.
do.
The way you
I'm
color
not
your
done.
hair,
Let
I
me
love it.
explain what we're going to do.
Sorry.
Then we do a round of what you watch, timed maybe not. I'm not sure. And then we're going to do a new wheel situation. We've decided to slip off the wheel, single wheel, each one of us, and we're going to do twin films. We're going to spin for twin films. Twin film being like White House Down and Olympus Has Fallen. Films that have the same subject that practically came out maybe even in the same year sometimes.
Volcano,
Dante Speaks. So I put a bunch on the wheel. We'll spin, and all we're going to do is have a discussion about those films. Their box office numbers, which one failed, which one was better, things like that. So, but that's
And we're
down the
going to
road.
call it the Wheel of Double Destiny because we named the wheel now. So
The wheel is named on the other show. We haven't named it on this one yet. Maybe we
I
will.
just did.
Double Destiny, Double D.
Destiny.
Double D
I
wheel.
love double D's.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I knew that would get
I
Sean.
like
All right,
I like studio cage match, but that's just me.
studio cage match. Okay,
Because a lot of times that's what it is. A studio gets an idea, they get these parallel things going, and then they just neither of them blink. Sometimes they do. But
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll pull the plug on one.
it is amazing that
Smart
two films
studios-
can. What's that, John?
The smart studios will snap up the other scripts and just shelve them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's amazing. Amazing it even happens, but it does all the time. So,
Yeah.
all right. So John obviously is going to talk about Collateral, and he's going to introduce the. How do you want to handle this, Vincent?
I picked 2004's Collateral, directed by Michael Mann, starring Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx, Jada Pinkett, Bruce McGill, Javier Bardem. Bardem.
Yeah, I was surprised to see him,
Yeah.
and a
Mark
cameo by.
Ruffalo.
Who's a cameo by?
Debbie Mazar.
Debbie
Yeah.
Mazar,
She's
Oh,
in
and
the
also
back.
Statham.
Jason Statham.
Who they are saying is playing Frank Martin from The Transporter
They
because
crossed
he
that.
transported the
Right.
package to him. So,
Also, well, by the way, the kid in the back of the cab with Debbie Mazar, was the kid from the well-known film Mercury Rising, starring Bruce Willis. You ever see that one?
That's the one with the
It's a
mathematician or
classic.
something.
It's a classic. Anyway, that's the kid in the back of the cab.
One day that kid's going to win an Oscar.
Maybe.
For Best Supporting Actor.
The American Dream.
Bruce Willis will hand it to him.
Yeah. No, okay.
Okay, so I picked Collateral, which is the story of Vince, a gun for hire.
Vincent,
who is in L.A. to kill 5 witnesses for an indictment that's about to come down for Felix's organization, who is played by Javier Bardem. And he goes into Jamie Foxx's cab, and Jamie Foxx is carting him around, and it's their adventures. I picked this movie. I hadn't seen it in a while. And I picked it because I think Tom Cruise, who I am a big fan of, I think he's one of the few remaining movie stars we have, but I think he's a little underrated as an actor. I always think about Rain Man, how everyone praises Dustin Hoffman, who was great in that movie, but really the only one who goes through any change in that movie is Tom Cruise. Dustin Hoffman's one note the whole movie, a great note, but still one note. And I think this is a movie that, what I remember about it, the indelible impression, other than the way it was shot. Now, this was shot mostly digital. It was one of the first ones to do that. I used to live in California. It's in LA you don't really see very much of. And the way he shot it, it reminded me of like Rats in a Maze, because everything was high when you see the cars going and stuff. It was really well shot, and Tom Cruise plays a great bad guy. And he's charming, he's manipulative, he's a sociopath when he needs to be. And I just love this movie for his performance in it, and in a way, because he always plays heroic characters. I think this one and Interview with a Vampire was really his probably 2 biggest villain roles, I think. And even again, going back to his acting ability in Tropic Thunder, Les Grossman is a great, hilarious character that he created. I don't think he gets enough credit. And the scene that really, the way he manipulated things, the 2 scenes for me that were the best acting wise for him was in the jazz club, where he's listening to the guy telling his story about Miles Davis, and he's really interested in it, and he's commenting on it. And then he lets slip out about the Cartagena, and now the guy realizes who this man is. And within that moment, he takes out the gun and shoots the guy right between the eyes. That was like, charming, scary as hell, right? And then, when he goes after Jamie Foxx after that too, when Jamie Foxx just realizes he's going to be collateral because this guy's a psychopath and I'm not going to make the night. The other one is, frankly, for me, and here's a spoiler, the death scene. There's a lot of ways you can play a death scene, but the way he played it, he tells that story at the beginning, the guy on the subway, he dies and nobody notices. And when he dies, when this cab driver, and there was funny, because as I did research on this, you're like, well, how did Vince not kill him when he's shooting through the doors? Well, if you noticed, every murder that he did, it was 2 shots to the chest, 1 to the head. Well, the way Jamie Foxx was positioned in the doors, the 2 shots in the middle would have hit the door, not the windows. So it was blind luck that Jamie Foxx was able to kill this professional killer, who at one point says, I do this for a living. But the way he played the stillness of that death scene after he got shot and realized, the clip falls out, and then he kind of sits back on the chair and realizes he's about to live the story he told. That's why I love the look of this movie. Now, some of the stuff's a little implausible, and there were points. I now that I've seen it again, it's a little slower than I remember, but I still really liked it a lot. And I think, again, the reason why I picked it was I think he is so underrated as an actor, because he's so good at what he does in the action adventure and the stunts, that I think it gets overlooked too often how good he was and he is really good as a bad guy in this movie. And I'm dying to know, I assume all of you have seen this movie?
Well,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an assignment.
We had to.
I know, but no, I mean prior to the assignment.
Yeah.
I assume
I saw it
everybody
in the
had seen this
movies.
movie. Yeah.
We were forced to watch it, John.
You were forced to watch it. So I'd like to know what you guys think about it.
First of all, can I just jump in for a sec? Because you directed by Michael Mann.
Yeah,
I
Love
don't know if
Michael Mann.
I didn't hear
Usually.
it. Yeah, usually. That's funny. And you're right. The cinematography in this thing is digital, except for the Fever, the nightclub scene. He shot that in film because the lights would have done all kinds of weird stuff to the digital thing. I thought it's a gorgeous nighttime LA film as well. And I just want to say that I think the cinematography is incredible, and the music is always. I couldn't name anybody the musician, the stuff he used, but he, all his films have this layer of the music track that I think played pretty well. Tom Cruise is a good actor. I think the gray hair and the gray beard and all that stuff kind of seemed a little gimmicky at first, but you forget about it, and he does come through. And you got to remember, this is like early Jamie Foxx film. I don't think he was.
This was his
That's
first
the year
drama.
before. It's the year before Ray. So it's the
Interesting,
first one
'cause
he's not doing like what was that comedy where they
Living Color.
in Living
went down
Color.
on, they went down on women through Saran wrap. I can't remember what it was with the Wayans brother, but I mean, like he was like a silly comedy guy.
Yeah,
And
but
then he did this, and then he got an Oscar.
well, I bring it up because the poster I showed is just Tom Cruise in the poster,
right?
Holding the gun. So it's an early Jamie Foxx, which is kind of fascinating. If you go back and look at his career, and he was Jamie Foxx was good, but yeah, there's some implausibility stuff, but I didn't care about that. Anyway, Sean, you seem to have a negative spin or something. Not a good Michael Mann film.
No, after you, Sean.
Okay. I saw this film in the theaters, obviously, because back then I saw everything. Every film is allowed one coincidence. So, I mean, obviously we're going to spoil this film. It came out in 2004. If you haven't seen it yet, too bad. So, he meets Jada Pinkett right at the beginning, and it's kind of a meet cute, but they bond, and she's a federal prosecutor, and they hit it off. I just, for one thing, I just didn't buy she comes back and gives him her card. I just didn't think that would happen.
That was the most fun part of the scene.
What?
That was the most fun part of the scene because he's sitting kicking himself. I didn't have the balls to ask her for her number, and then she's like, "Here's my number."
Yeah, but I just didn't buy it. The characters, and then it turns out she's the final victim, and now he has the card. As soon as she handed him the card, I'm like, it ruined the movie for me because I knew she was going to be. I didn't know she'd be the final victim, but I knew she'd be a major player. Mm-hmm. In what was going to happen? And it was a big movie. You knew Tom Cruise was going to be a killer, so you knew that. And so, I mean, that's to me, it's like two huge coincidences. And I just think after the first victim or the guy, which I thought was funny, falls on the cab and he goes, "You killed that guy." He goes, "No, I shot him. The bullets in the fall killed him." But it's sort of like they throw it in. What's his name? The guy's in the superhero movies.
Mark Ruffalo.
Ruffalo throws in. There was a cab driver who went crazy last year, killed 3 strangers, then killed himself. So you know what's going to happen. To me, that's a clumsy screenwriting line. But I just can't believe Tom Cruise, he has a modus operandi. But after that, just the fact that he's driving around.
We say that MO in the business.
Yeah. The fact that he's driving around it's his plan to kill.
Sticks ready.
Okay. To kill the driver and essentially let the driver take the blame for all the murders, which he kind of pulls off almost. But to me, once he's driving around in the car with that broken windshield that's attracting police attention, if he was sensible at all, he would have just killed Jamie Foxx, hailed another cab, and that would have been it. There's not, so, as much as I loved Thief, I think, Thief is, a masterpiece. And Heat is unbelievable. Heat's a film I could watch 1 million times. And I probably have watched it 50 times. This one I have a problem with. I don't think it's Michael Mann's worst film. For some reason, I just hated Public Enemy, his next film after this, which he also shot on video. But in that case, it looks like real video. I mean, To me, that movie, probably because it's set in the 30s, and
That's
you know
what
what a
Johnny Depp,
30s
that
film
one?
looks
Yeah.
like. You know, it just didn't look like that, but the look of the film pulled me out of it completely, and the plot wasn't really.
You're talking about the other one, not Collateral.
Public Enemy.
Yeah.
His
Well, did you
next
notice
film.
Tom Cruise's outfit was the same as De Niro's in Heat?
Did I know that?
Yeah. Did you notice
No,
it?
if I knew that, I'd be thumbs up on this movie.
Yeah, it was.
Did he
That's
wear?
why I
Wait a second. Did
John.
Cruise wear Al Capone's underwear in this? No. So what do you think?
John read the same IMDb that we all read.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You
No, I
like
know.
you like the look of the film. I didn't appreciate the look of the film at all. It was just too jazzed up. You know, the shots are just hard to see and visualize and what you were watching. It's too much on the screen. You know, it was all on the screen, but it was too much on the screen. I couldn't.
You mean
get a-
all the scenes, Debbie, or any in particular?
Well, she's talking about the nightclub in
Yeah,
particular.
the Fever nightclub. It was hard to get the geography of what was going on there.
What's going on? What am I
That was
watching
a
here?
great scene.
You know,
And no, I'm not saying it wasn't a good scene, but the geography was a little all over the place. I couldn't figure out who was going where.
what the heck, you
Yeah.
know?
I found it hard to follow.
but-
And
Go ahead.
it was just too, you know, unrealistic that you know, Jamie Foxx, a cab driver, is going to affect the, you know, that lawyer, you know, that prosecuting attorney. I mean, there's no way that, you know, it's not going to happen.
Because she knows how difficult it was for a film editor to get a med tech.
Yeah. Well, he was a charming guy. I mean, he was charming. He was. They had that little banter at the beginning about
Yeah,
which route to
that cute
take. I mean, I
banter.
think he was. Go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say the opening 5 minutes of this film, when she gets into his cab and Hands of Time by Groove Armada plays, that's some of my favorite 5 minutes of film, period. End of story. And I love that sequence. I mean, I absolutely love it. It's slow. They take pauses for overhead shots. It's not like some kind of super witty thing. I buy that she would give it, you know, that she would, you know, like you said, it's funny. It's that cabbie banner, but like, you know, he makes that joke about a guy gets in with a samurai sword. I figure he's a sushi chef, you know, I love that opening. And as far as, you know, I used to think about that too, that the killer then gets into that exact cab, but he was quite literally there casing the joint, making sure that his ID worked, because he knew that he was going to have to get into a secure federal facility to kill a federal prosecutor, which is no small thing. So yes, is it a little bit of a strain that he would get into that exact cab? Possibly, but at the same time, he had a legitimate reason for being there, in my opinion. But I love that opening scene with them talking, and I could see how, you know, here's this lady, you know, here's a guy, she thinks to herself, why not take a chance on a blue collar guy? Do you know what I mean?
And she said she's working all the
Not ever going to
time.
happen in reality.
You know,
That's not true. Maybe.
He's telling her about his plan and everything. And I don't know.
future.
Let me put it this way. I have a friend of mine, you know, don't get me wrong. He did go to college eventually, and, you know, he got a master's degree, but his wife is like she's a Yale doctor, you know, and he is from a blue collar family, you know. Anyway, that's just, but I love that sequence. But the movie as a whole, probably not my favorite Michael Mann film, but I think I really enjoy.
That's a tough hill to climb to say.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
come
Like
on.
you said, Thief, Heat.
Oh my God. I mean,
The
Jericho Mile.
Yeah.
Oh.
You put any of those things in there, and it all of his movies are great.
Yeah. The Keep. Never mind.
Keep. I like the book better.
Go on and on, but
Black
I
Hat?
did want to ask everybody this question, because like I really enjoy this movie. I think the look of it is cool. I like everything. Does anybody get the feeling that you know, Tom Cruise says he's been doing, or Vincent's been doing it for 6 years? Do you think he was a lawyer first? Does anyone else get
to
the
that
idea
one
that he was
scene?
a lawyer when
Yeah.
he's like, you know, when he's talking to the guy back at the cab stand or whatever, and he's like talking, and he's like, no, he's giving him all like this kind of like straight legal advice, or at least so I always got the feeling that he was a lawyer, and like that was kind of like an unspoken joke that it wouldn't take too much of a push to turn
To go from lawyer to an
That's
assassin.
funny.
yeah, to do like, you know, to be like a very
really funny.
meticulous lawyer, just say, you know what, I'm going to make more money killing people.
That's good.
I do want to say, although I sound very negative on the film, that in particular, the jazz club scene, I thought was excellent. I loved I loved that scene. I thought that was great. And there were plenty of good moments, but
well, it's, okay. If you're worried about implausibility and coincidences and all that, forget it. There's things are happening where nobody's around. That car crash that happens, and finally a cop shows up. I mean, you got to really suspend disbelief to enjoy what Tom Cruise and Jamie are doing together. Number one, and I think there was probably many times he could have got out of that cab and ran away.
I want to bring it up is that he could have. Now, once he introduced him to his mother,
right, that
threatened his mother. Right. You knew he was in for the rest of the ride. But before then, he could have gotten out.
If I'm going to talk about an implausible scene, it's the scene where Vincent makes him go in there to talk to Javier Bardem and get the stick from him. Like, to me, there's no way that he would be able to pull it together the way he did and turn into the badass that he turned into to make him look like he was Vincent, which is what he thought. Bardem thought he was Vincent.
Well, but wasn't at that point it was survival because he.
Right, I understand. He reached the point where he turned. I know, but it was like that he went.
I bought it. I thought that was super entertaining because you realize the danger that he's in, but he's in there and he's like, I'm in danger everywhere.
Right.
If I don't do this and I get killed by the cartel, I get killed by Vincent. If I do this, I'm still alive. I get to walk out of here.
Right.
And
Maybe.
I had also forgotten that was Javier Bardem.
Me too.
Because I haven't seen this movie in a long time, and he's wonderful. So that was a really intense scene.
Santa Claus.
Really well done.
Santa Claus.
Is that an early film for him as well, or was he around for a long time?
He's been acting since the 90s.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, it was definitely one of his earlier Hollywood
girlfriend.
I know
Cruise.
Yeah, he's married to Penelope Cruz.
Yeah.
Holy awkward moment.
And he acted with Nicole Kidman, Tom Cruise's ex-wife. So it's a small community, Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
But also the way Jamie Foxx played that scene in the beginning, he was definitely stammering. He was nervous. And then once he realized all the guns are around him, if he doesn't pull this off, he's going to die. Then survival instinct took over, and he says, "Okay, I got to play along."
Yeah, but that's me. I'm peeing my pants and I'm crying like a baby.
Well,
I guess I'm putting myself in that spot.
But that's you, Ralph.
I know.
I mean, I get that with you. You're kind of a pussy.
I never thought he wasn't afraid in that scene.
Yeah.
I kind of dug the idea that what if he really was Vincent, and Vincent is just some guy in a hoodie who's kind of soft-spoken. Yeah. And he comes in and he's like, I want to finish the job. Give me this stuff. And I believed it. I totally believed it. That was like all of Jamie Foxx's strengths as an actor in one scene because he was convincing to me both ways.
Yeah, totally.
Even though we knew that it was all fake when he got tough.
Yeah.
Right.
So
what else about the film, Drew?
Well, I've always been fond of this movie. I haven't seen it in a long time. And I remember that I liked it. It's the kind of movie like if YouTube's always serving me scenes from movies, so it keeps showing me like Tom Cruise killing those guys in the alley when he fired like 5 bullets in less than 2 seconds or something. And of course, it was Tom Cruise really did it with the real gun, blah blah blah. But I was a little curious because I own it on Blu-ray. I hadn't watched it in many years. I could have watched it on Paramount, but I said, you know what, I'm going to watch it on Blu-ray. I was kind of worried maybe the whole, maybe it won't look really that good with it being on the digital format from almost 20 years ago, which was, of course, like you said, way more distracting in Public Enemies. I think it works in this movie. And I was hoping that I was remembering that it was a good movie. And it was not a good movie. It's a fantastic movie. This movie is so entertaining, and the look of it and the feel of it. Like I could watch helicopters fly around Los Angeles with the cityscape reflected on the bottom of the fuselage for an hour. I mean, it's so Michael Mann. It's so well done. I remember thinking, this must have been really satisfying to edit. Like to pull all these pieces together, just because everything that, and apparently Michael Mann does 80 takes of everything, so there was a lot of material, but
well, even the
so distinct,
even the blocking of the one scene in the penthouse where all you see is that guy get the call saying there's a notary down here, and he does that long shot with the 2 people on the couch out of focus. I don't know if they're kissing, whatever they were doing, and he does that scene along the staircase. That's just reminded me of Manhunter, some of the scenes in Manhunter that he did. Obviously, Heat, Miami Vice, just that aesthetic he has. And you're right, the reflections on the glass of the buildings in LA and all that just kept this thing moving.
Yeah, I found it really satisfying. And because, I like Michael Mann movies. I don't like all of his movies, but he's one of those guys, if I get into the vibe, I can say, well, maybe there's one too many coincidences. It's a movie, except I don't care because it's a Michael Mann movie and he's just transported me into this world. I haven't watched Heat in years. Now I want to watch that again.
Yeah.
And my favorite Michael Mann movie I haven't watched in a while, which is The Insider, which is
God,
like, I think that's almost the best version of him because that is a movie with incredible storytelling and suspense, and it's mostly just people talking.
Yeah.
I've never been so terrified by manicured fingernails tapping on a desk as I have in that movie. Like really incredible stuff. So this was super fun to revisit, John. I'm really glad that you picked this one because I was looking forward to watching it again at some point in my life, and it was totally worth watching again. And I came upstairs all excited after I watched it because Kelly was on a call, and I said, "Do you want to watch it? I'll totally watch it again." She said, "Well, not right now," and I was like, "All right." But it was just really entertaining. And Tom Cruise is really, I don't know, you know, I think he's going to die without an Oscar. I'm pretty confident about that. But, you know, this was 5 years after Magnolia, and he was very, very compelling as Jason Robards' son, the motivational speaker for men and all that kind of stuff. And he has just a bigger range than you give him credit for. And this is one of those examples I think that really shows it. He's very satisfying to watch.
Well, I think Debbie and I are going to be in the Minority Report.
I love that movie too.
Here's a little tidbit. So originally, and again, you guys probably got this from the same research I did. This was Russell Crowe's movie. He was originally in the development of it, and he couldn't do it schedule wise. He's the guy that brought in Michael Mann. So Michael Mann wasn't involved with this originally. So
I was wondering because of he didn't write.
That's right. He was going to bring. He brought on Cruise, and then it was supposed to be Cruise and Adam Sandler.
Oh my God!
And then that didn't work out. So they ended up with Jamie Foxx. So and Drew, you brought up Tom Cruise shooting. So he never shot live rounds before this movie, and he went through training. And they said, the trainers said, like everything Tom Cruise does, he got so proficient with it that they use his quick draw as part of the training for the cops. That's how good he was.
Oh, they show the scene?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Because it really, I mean, it's like Keanu Reeves in the John Wick movies. The stuff he does is incredible. And if you watch on YouTube, the training like Keanu Reeves does for John Wick, he's really doing those things. It's intense. It's incredible.
Also, in the scene where he's chasing Jada Smith around that office and he breaks through the glass and trips over the chair. He really tripped over that chair.
Yeah, that's right.
And Michael Mann kept it in the cut.
Yeah.
And now he's about to go into space for his next film.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise. You say he's going to die without an Oscar. He may die on one of these stunts he does. And that's,
hey, you know what?
He's going to go out doing what he wanted to do.
Now. And he would tell you nothing would make him happier than that. If you're going to go doing something you love doing.
Also, one other thing about him in this movie.
Casino.
In this movie, he runs in every movie.
Yes, he does.
He is so fast and terrifying in this movie. Running through the subway station after the two of them. Oh my God!
I don't know how.
It's really intimidating.
See, my suspension of disbelief is how do these people run in the shoes that they wear?
Well,
even Jada Smith is running around in those high heels, and I think even Jamie Foxx is trying to pull her along. But like even Tom Cruise, I guess those have rubber soles or something. I don't understand if he's wearing fancy shoes. You're going to be slipping all over the place.
About it, I'll be honest.
See, I do. I think of those things.
That car crash at the end that they did where he flipped the car. So they shot that and it went perfect. It landed exactly where it was supposed to go, but he thought it looked a little too staged. So they did it 2 more times and they actually used the first take.
That bothered me. Let me tell you what bothered me about that. Whole wreck. It's that computer, by the way, which Tom Cruise is able to pull off the cab.
You mean it was open to the page?
It was open to the page where you see her. I mean, when I saw this the first time, I never put two and two.
Coincidence?
I'm saying, but I never put 2 and 2 together. I thought they'd ultimately end up at the end because she gave the card and he went through this whole thing. You know, as this movie's going on, I kind of go, wait a second, this is a big prosecution. He's going after witnesses. It's probably going to be her, but I didn't care. At
the beginning, he comes out of that building.
Right.
The very first scene is where he comes out of that building. He was casing it out.
Well, it wouldn't have bothered me if that scene where he finally decides to say, okay, well then if nothing matters, I'm going to step on the gas. You're not going to shoot me. It wouldn't have bothered me if he decided to do that because he found out when they were in the cab that was Vincent's final target.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have story-wise, that wouldn't have bothered me. But I do like that it went the way that it went because that's the first time in the whole movie, and not everything has gone his way. Vincent, but it's the first time in the whole movie that Tom Cruise looks nervous.
Right.
He picked this cab driver and stayed in this guy's cab because he was easily manipulable.
Right.
And he was able to get, I mean, can you imagine, like, just pick up this body and help me put it in the trunk? And this guy was so shocked by what was happening, he just did it. And now all of a sudden, like, you could die because I'm going to drive this car into something. I mean, that's a great scene. Again, little bits of acting on Tom Cruise's face and the way that Jamie Foxx sets his jaw. I mean, it's just great. It's just great stuff.
I also want to talk about Mark Ruffalo for a second.
Oh yeah,
I love Mark
It was
Ruffalo.
shocking that he got shot.
I love Mark Ruffalo as an actor. I like what he does, notwithstanding the Hulk and all that thing. But
he's very good as that too.
He's been around. And when his hair was slicked back and he first came in, I'm like, oh, that's Mark Ruffalo. He looked really cool. And I was so upset when he gets shot at the end that Vincent just takes him out like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, that really bothered me because I like that. I liked him as a character. I like him as an actor, and I know he's not really dead. I get that, but I love Mark Ruffalo.
That was a shock to me. I didn't remember that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of faces. Peter, the director.
Peter Berg is awesome.
Peter Berg is his boss or partner, whatever he was. And
Bruce McGill, who's the federal agent. I will follow him anywhere. He's in one of my favorite scenes, and it's designed to basically be a standout scene in The Insider as a lawyer getting assertive in a hearing. Yeah. Again, like not the world's most dramatic type thing. I mean, Bruce McGill, when he gets shot in Fever, basically by accident, he looks so surprised, like, wait, this is already happening. What's going on? Like, you just believe the whole thing because he's not a dick, but he's very confident. And this is a federal case, and you local guys leave me alone. And then when all of that comes together in Fever, all the storylines converge like that, and he just gets swept up in it. I mean, I love that guy. Not
to forget his turn in Time Cop as well.
Yes, he's been in a lot of excellent things.
So
he's like Margot Martindale and Cocaine Bear.
Time Clock, a classic. And that's Bruce McGill doing this in Animal House, right? That's amazing how long he's been. Mm-hmm. D-Day.
Brother Bluto.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was just going to say there's a couple of little things in that movie. It's funny the way that Mark Ruffalo gets killed in this film. It always reminds me of the way that Scatman Crothers dies in The Shining.
Oh yeah.
You know how shocking he puts in all that effort. The way that Ruffalo is tracking this down, and you think he's going to come save them. Boom, axe to the chest, two to the sternum, done. Right. And you're right. You realize they're on their own. And I think that's one of the great things another great thing. One of the best lines though in this film, and it's always hit me in a very special place. Like, I've never been a big fan of jazz. I listen to a little jazz, but I'm not a jazz aficionado by any stretch. And the line where Jamie Foxx is just kind of like lamenting, he's like, I never learned to listen to jazz. And I was like, that's how I've always felt about it. But as far as like I never really kind of got it or
you know why jazz is so complicated? It's freewheeling. It doesn't follow a script. You know what I mean? It's not structured. So when you go to a jazz club and listen to it, I can listen to it for a maximum of 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And then I get fatigued. My brain can't follow all the notes. So 2 hours of jazz is just enough. Whereas when you go to hear any other kind of other music, you can tolerate like 4 hours.
But wasn't the point of that jazz is improvisational and magic wasn't improvisational, and he ends up becoming improvisational. Exactly. That's why he crashes the car, because he realized, I'm going to die, so this is what I'm going to do to prevent that. So I kind of got that.
And also the bit with and maybe I'm reading a little too much into this, but like because I know LA does have a coyote problem, that scene with the coyote, and it always just kind of struck me as being a little, I don't necessarily heavy-handed because I don't know how many.
Well, it's heavy-handed.
The idea that there are these wild, dangerous things that just float in and out of even quote unquote civilized.
Also, it's a Native American belief that if you see a coyote, you're heading into danger.
Right.
Yeah. If it crosses your path. So I mean, that's obviously what's going on there. But Michael Mann is not, he's not subtle in some things. Some of the imagery that he does, and that's what I love about him. I think the guy is, notwithstanding Black Hat and some of the other misses, but I actually like Public Enemies. He had a lot of good actors in there. It was a fun one. It's a fun gangster.
You know what? It's funny about Public Enemy. We had a little screening of it at my house, and one of my friends brought it, and we watched it. And I tried to give him back the disc, and he wouldn't take it. It's like, no, just keep it.
Well, he had never seen it, but he had a screening.
He's a fan of Johnny Depp. He's a fan of Michael Mann. So
home
he's
run.
like, brought it over
Home
my
run.
house.
Can't miss. Anything else before we rate it?
Yeah, I want to say one other thing because Michael Mann, of course, is as much television as he is movies. He's the guy behind Miami Vice and a bunch of different stuff. But
Crime Story.
Crime Story.
My favorite show that he ever did. I think that this movie, you could see it grew directly out of this show, and it starred Tom Sizemore. It was about a year before 2002, 2003. It was called Robbery Homicide Division, and it was a cop show. And it had Tom Sizemore and Barry Shabaka Henley, who's the one who gets killed in the jazz club. And it was like the most Michael Mann in LA story, the same way that, Miami Vice is just indelibly of that city. And the video that they use, the way that they shot it, the way that they set it up, the feel of it and everything, that is Collateral clearly grows out of that. And I mean that in a very best complimentary way. Like that, if I don't know if that show's even streaming anywhere, but I mean, it was like written by Vince Gilligan before Breaking Bad. Like there's just so many amazing people woven through, Michael Mann's career in general, but that show was. I said to Kelly, I said, we should see if we could track that down, and she's kind of like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was really great. And Tom Sizemore, I think it's one of his best roles, also.
Yeah.
So,
well, Heat is just a remake of L.A. Takedown, a film he had done. Right down to the diner scene. Yeah, much bigger scale. Heat's much bigger, better actors, all that. But it's the same idea. And if you haven't seen Jericho Mile, which came out, I think, in 1979.
Great movie.
With Robert Strauss, I think is his name.
No, Peter Strauss.
Peter Strauss from Rich Man, Poor Man.
Yeah.
I think I have.
Oh, it's a great movie.
It's a fantastic film, and it's very early Michael Mann.
It's about a marathon runner who goes to prison, and he's trying to qualify for the Olympics.
Yeah. And you can see Michael Mann's DNA all through that one, too. I mean, it's just amazing. Yeah. So, all right, let's rate this sucker. Let's start with the downers. Sean and Debbie, you really going to rate it?
I didn't appreciate the movie. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No apologies.
It is my second least favorite Michael Mann film, though I will say there's some good moments. I just couldn't get past the coincidences.
Deb,
what's your first least favorite?
For not liking a movie, Deb.
My least favorite
is that Public Enemies?
Public Enemies.
Okay. Not Black Hat?
I haven't seen Black Hat, though.
I think that might push Public Enemies up a little bit.
Yeah, it will.
So, Chris, what do you got?
I love Collateral. It's funny, Drew, because I actually pulled out my 2005 DVD. I bought it when it came out on DVD when it first did, which is funny because it has 2 discs for some bizarre reason.
It does, yeah.
And there's very little on the second disc that's all of that interesting. I don't even think it has a commentary, but
the Blu-ray does. The Blu-ray does.
I love this film. It's great once again. But like you said, I mean, it's Michael Mann kind of in his wheelhouse, and you can't miss.
Yeah, Drew.
Ditto. Yeah. I mean, Yippee-Ki-Yay. As I said, I knew that this was a good movie and I enjoyed it, and I've thought about rewatching it, and it was just even better than I had remembered. So
yeah, I'm Yippee-Ki as well. Fun. And it makes me want to watch Heat again, Manhunter, which I watch once a year.
Yeah,
the Insider.
The Insider is unbelievably good and unbelievably tense and scary.
Russell Crowe is great.
He is so good. And the
I still feel that they gave him the Oscar for Gladiator because they realized they should have given it to him instead of Kevin Spacey.
You're right. So, John, good job. Good choice.
Yeah, hey, don't forget Tom Cruise. Very good actor.
Yeah,
he's don't forget, hit the subscribe button.
Exactly.
Yes. You should always subscribe, hit the notification button, and smash the like button. We're trying to get up to 185 people. So
to watch this one, I will say this, back from my Blockbuster days, when The Insider came out, and it drove a lot of people at the store, customers, crazy, The Insider was only available in widescreen on VHS. Man was like, nope, no pan and scan for this one, which is kind of awesome.
Oh, they didn't like that?
People wanted to fill the whole screen.
Yeah, people hated as a general rule.
All my movies were let.
You got to remember though,
why am I renting a movie that doesn't use the whole screen?
The TVs in those days were this big, right?
You let people watching movies on phones.
Damn right. Damn right. They look great too.
You only see half of the 4 of them in all the scenes.
What's that director say, David Lynch, about watching it on a phone? I don't
He
even care.
said-
I
He
don't
says
care.
that's a great
Only
idea.
losers
Give it a
do that,
shot
I
when
think
you're
he said.
driving.
Only
Did he say
losers
that?
do that.
Only
All right.
losers watch
Okay,
movies.
let's
on
do a round of
phone.
what'd you watch? I don't want to put the timer up, but I'm just asking you guys. Be wary of time, okay?
What's the rules?
Come on. No, let's just do this. John, let's start with you. Let's set the pace.
Well,
set the pace.
I watched two things. One, I finished watching Tulsa King. I love it.
So fun.
I love Sylvester Stallone. I think the ending was rushed. but
That's my only
The
criticism.
twist at the ending was fantastic. I am
Yep.
dying to see what happens.
What's the twist?
Shh.
Stallone's great.
You gotta
Stallone is
watch
great.
it.
But today I watched on Turner Classic Movies a movie I've never seen before. 30 Seconds Over Tokyo.
Oh,
It was directed by Mervyn LeRoy in Mervyn Leroy in 1944. This is about the Doolittle raid on Japan. Shortly after Pearl Harbor, they did something pretty dramatic. They took B-52 bombers and
25.
I'm sorry, B-25s, flew them off aircraft carriers, which was never.
Yeah, Michael
heard
Bay
of
did that in
before.
Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, well, Michael Bay's a loser.
Alec
It starred
Baldwin.
Van Johnson,
With Alec
Robert
Baldwin.
Walker, Spencer Tracy played Doolittle, and I got to tell you something. Other than, and this is a true story based on Ted Lawson, who was the pilot of one of the planes. They crashed their plane. They were helped out by the Chinese to get away from the Japanese. And Ted Lawson actually he lost his leg. He got his leg amputated. Other than the wife relationship between Van Johnson and Phyllis Thaxter, which was I found it to be a little melodramatic, but that's a time period, so it's not a critique. It just is what it is. The aerial footage, because they did the bombing raid, was miniatures. It looks fantastic. Like I couldn't believe how good it looked even now. And they won the Academy Award for Best Special Effects too. It's a great movie because it's based on his book, and it's a slow thing because they go through the training. They don't even know what they're training for till the last half hour of the movie. When they're on the aircraft carrier, they finally figure out they're going over Tokyo. And the whole thing about that raid was it didn't really do a lot of damage, but it built the morale up of the United States to really go full bore into the war against Japan. If you've never seen it, it's a really good war movie. It's got a lot of heart to it. And again, all the characters in it, they're using their real names. So even the crew on the airplane and on the bombers. It's a really good story. If you get a chance, check it out. It's on Turner Classic Movies, 30 Seconds Over Tokyo.
Okay. Sean and Debbie, before your internet dies, what'd you watch?
Well, I watched two documentaries. Debbie watched part of one, which was Britt Binkham, about the hot yoga guy who was sexually molesting all of his students.
Oh my God.
Oh, that was a very sad and disgusting story.
Debbie watched that. You didn't watch it?
Yeah, Debbie. No, we watched it, but
a
after
good
she
one.
went to bed, I was mesmerized by the documentary on Netflix about Malaysian Flight 370.
We just started.
But it
that.
was very frustrating because ultimately they still don't know what happened, But they go through all the theories,
The black
all
hole
the
theory?
conspiracy theories. It wasn't
They
a
went in the
black hole.
Yeah.
I forget what newscaster said that. Was that
Don Lemon on CNN.
Don Lemon? That's right. But
Oh, Don.
you feel so bad for these families because this plane was not supposed to end up like that, and how it got to where it was. And they tried to make it look like it was the pilot when, this guy probably didn't do it. But there's no way. It's like they go through so many theories and none of them make any sense, really. So it's kind of frustrating to watch because I remember when it happened, but I didn't go into the rabbit hole on it. The documentary goes into the rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's crazy with all the technology that exists today, and they still can't figure that out. That's nuts.
I do believe it was probably some sort of government conspiracy involved, at least covering up what happened.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's plausible, right?
Otherwise, we would know.
Right.
There's some,
That's true.
there were just so many weird inconsistencies about what happened.
It was
And
like
some
Millennium.
things which I thought were very compelling, they never beat down or didn't adequately explain why that wasn't the case. So
Was Cheryl Ladd a flight attendant on that flight?
Good question.
it was great when it went underwater.
Did you wear that shirt?
That was Air 75.
So is that it, Debbie? Is that all? Is that he's speaking for you as well?
Yeah, we didn't watch much TV.
That's fine. There's no judges here. Chris.
So a couple things. I finally caught up with 1969's Renee Clement's version of The Talented Mr. Ripley called Purple Noon. It's actually the first version starring Alain Delon from France.
Yeah.
It's a co-production of Italy and French. It's phenomenal. It's really weird and really different from The Talented Mr. Ripley that Anthony McGill, is that who it was? Did it with Tom Cruise and Jude, or not Tom Cruise, Jude Law,
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
David.
Exactly. And it's one of those things where after watching both versions, I kind of feel the need to read the book to see kind of how it really was written.
Those are great books. You would enjoy
Okay,
them.
well then that may tip me right over there. But the thing I caught up with, and I hadn't seen it in forever, and I watched my old DVD of it that had the cigarette burns in the upper can, was George Romero's 1981 masterpiece, Knight Riders, starring Ed Harris.
Ooh.
Knight Rider
Classic.
starring who?
Ed Harris.
Ed Harris.
It's
That's one of those movies where like all of the actors in there, they're all of like Romero's regular cast, and none of them are terrible. Like Tom Savini actually is not a bad actor. He's mostly known for like special effects and gore makeup, but like he's not a bad actor. But when any of them act in a scene with Ed Harris when he's so young, I mean, he still had most of his hair at the time, right? He's just so physical and so powerful. He just overpowers them all and blows them out of the water in a way it kind of throws the movie off a little bit. But even though that movie's a little too long and it kind of drags on in spots and like it drags things out, I still love it.
It's the legend of Arthur on motorcycles, right?
Yeah, well,
They're actors.
they're doing like this weird kind of traveling Renaissance fair thing, but it's all because Ed Harris has decided, he's kind of eschewed the wider world, and all these people have gathered around him to try to bring back like the pageantry and the beauty of Camelot. And it's it is a weird little
those traveling Renaissance shows. Those people are nuts. They live out in the woods through the whole season of that stuff, and it's some
I
stuff.
had buddies who used to work at those things. The
Yeah,
Renaissance
me
fair.
too.
Hey, I
Drew,
just want to say one thing. I'm sorry.
go ahead.
What you were talking about, the Ed Harris scenes. I did this movie called Marriage Retreat, or a ripoff of Couples Retreat. And Jeff Fahey was like the straight star in it. And it's like every actor, all the other actors acting amongst themselves are all like equal. But, when they have their individual scenes with Jeff Fahey, it's sort of like, you really have to up your game. And
What's the name of that film you did, Sean? You might as well just say it again.
Marriage Retreat.
Marriage Retreat. Okay.
It's strangely very similar to the film Couples Retreat. But since it's a Christian film, they have to be married.
Oh my goodness.
when you're acting against the lawnmower man, you better bring.
Yeah, is Fahey playing a priest? What's he
really
playing?
good. He was in Lost.
No, Jeff. Actually, I joke, but Jeff Fahey's actually a good actor.
I like Jeff Fahey.
Oh, and you know what? I love Jeff Fahey, and I got to tell this because it makes me look good. They sent him my version of the script that I wrote with my partner.
What's this time code? I might cut this out. Let me see.
Okay. And he agreed to do the film. And then they brought in another writer, and the director rewrote it. And I heard from the director that Jeff was not happy on the set. And I thought, I'm sorry to hear that he wasn't a good guy. And then somebody else told me why he was mad. He said, because when he got to the set, it was a different script, and he called it a bait and switch. So I love that he liked my script and didn't care for anyone.
That's good. That's our motto. We like anybody that likes us. All right, Drew.
Exactly.
Well, Debbie said you guys didn't watch that much. I watched a lot because I was sick and out of work and stuff half of last week and everything.
Sorry,
So I watched. Thank you. I watched a lot of movies. Some of them were worth talking about, like The Post. Some of them I didn't like Violent Night or Emily the Criminal. But I finished watching Hunters. I've been very concerned about the rise of white supremacy in the country and in the world. So to watch the people hunt down and kill Nazis very, very bloodily, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I watched two movies that really stuck with me that I keep thinking about. One of them is called After Yang. It's the other great Colin Farrell movie of 2022. It's basically set in the near future, and there's a lot of really interesting world building for a movie that's only about an hour and a half. And Colin Farrell and his wife and his daughter, they have essentially an android companion, and he stops working. And I thought the movie was about like he dies and how do we deal with loss in a family. And that is part of it, but there's also a lot more about it and what the machines are and everything. And it's like a nice cousin to that BBC show Humans, which was really excellent, clever sci-fi about robots that look like people and how we exploit them and stuff. And then I also watched a movie that I've been wanting to watch for quite a while. It's called Christine. It's not the one about the car. It's from 2016. It's about Christine Chubbuck, who was the Florida newscaster who shot herself live on the air during a broadcast. And Rebecca Hall plays Christine. I don't know if you've seen a lot of her performances. She's pretty unbelievable.
She's good.
And she's really incredible in this. And it's got Michael C. Hall and a number of other familiar faces, and everybody is good in it, but she is really, really extraordinary. And at the end of it, I kind of thought this is like, because it is about a woman with very serious mental illness, and it is about a real person and what really happened. But it was kind of like the movie Joker, but for grown-ups. And I really liked that because it was just more sophisticated and more sensitive without pandering and without demonizing people who have mental health problems. So after Yang and Christine were both on the quieter, meditative side, and I did have a fever watching them, but I really enjoyed them.
Oh, nice. Christine, I don't know if I could watch that knowing what happened, but she's fantastic.
Yeah, if you like Rebecca Hall, you really can't skip that movie. It's so well done. And the whole thing is shot, and you would like this, Ralph. It's shot like a 70s movie with the zooms, and the look of it is it's set in the 70s, and I think you would dig the feel of it. So John, you might not enjoy that aesthetic, but it's I don't know, it's one of those movies. It's a very little movie that makes a lot of good choices, and she's just incredible.
Oh, well, I might check that one out. All right, I watched something that I was looking forward to. I'm still on the fence about, and I'm upset that I'm on the fence about it because I thought it'd be a home run and I'd be watching this series over and over and over. And it's Mel Brooks' History of the World Part 2.
Oh, don't tell me it's bad.
And I don't know whether I've gotten older and the Borscht Belt humor just doesn't work anymore or something. I can't quite get my hand wrapped around why I don't like it, except I just don't really like it. I kind of watched 2 of the episodes and I'm like, yeah, okay, I get what you're doing, but it's Mel Brooks. He's 96 years old and he's narrating, and you get all these great actors and, comedians and people who are doing all these parts. And it's just like, I don't, maybe I'm going to rewatch it because maybe my headspace wasn't right for it, but I'm kind of disappointed. I don't quite see
I know why you don't like it.
Okay.
You don't like it because it's not funny.
That may be it.
And that's a problem. You don't like it because it plays like, honestly, a less interesting, clever version of Drunk History.
I've read that today, which is
I mean, Drunk History is a very entertaining show, but also my biggest thing, other than it's a comedy that isn't funny, I love the first movie. I love History of the World Part 1. I don't know. I mean, they can make it 100 hours on Hulu if they want. I don't care. But it feels, this is why it's Drunk History vibe. It feels like a television show, and a kind of a low budget television show. And I wish that it felt like a movie, because, History of the World Part 1 is very silly, but it's got giant musical numbers and, big sets of Roman history and the French Revolution and Versailles and all that stuff. And this is just, it's very small and not funny. And like you said, so many good people are in it, and it's just really disappointing.
Yeah, I'm on the fence because obviously it's a Disney show, and I want to make sure that I give them all the chance I can give them. But I was kind of just like, and then they're doing a Curb Your Enthusiasm bit in there. I thought that would be good. Nick Kroll is fantastic, writing great. And all that. So I'm just kind of underwhelmed. But I am going to give it another shot and maybe just watch it.
No Madeline Kahn, no Harvey Korman.
Right.
I mean, you can't. It's difficult to compare it to the first one. It's almost impossible, and it's such an. You talk about an uphill battle against yourself. He's battling against himself, and you get all these people who just love working for Mel Brooks.
Right.
And who could blame them? I mean, it's like a dream come true job. I just don't. It's not working for me. So that's what I'm going to say. All right. So we're going to go to this wheel, the double D wheel or the studio cage match, whatever we're going to call it. So let's go to that. I'll show you. See the titles on there.
Yes,
all right, so I put a bunch up there. I'm not saying we're going to have to do all of these, but I just wanted to give them kind of a fair shake. So what we'll do is we'll spin whatever the pair comes up. And really, I'm not asking anybody to watch these films if you haven't seen them. Although I imagine most of them have been seen.
But if we don't watch them, how are we going to be able to talk about
Well, I'm saying do some research on it if you want. Like, I don't want to watch Wyatt Earp again. That thing goes on forever. If that came up.
I
in
Or
seen
someone
a lot of
said,
these
why
movies.
it's so long?
Yeah, why it's so long. Tombstone I'll watch again all day long. But I'm just saying,
Your Huckleberry.
kind of do some research, bring a little fact to it. I'm going to start looking at the numbers, see what the budgets were and what they ended up making. There's a couple of mystery ones in there. I don't know if you guys ever saw Liberty Stands Still.
I was
No,
just
but I
thinking
saw-
about that. I have not seen that.
Lisa Ferrantino, I think is her name, and Phone Booth with
Linda Ferrantino.
Linda Ferrantino, Phone Booth with Colin Farrell. So there's some big ones in here, but I put a couple of other ones too. So here we go. The one I didn't want to do, but here we go.
That's funny.
on-
Those are the two movies
Second
I've
roll.
seen.
Okay. This will be a good one to talk about because they were big. So what were you saying, John? These were not both
I was
big.
saying that of all the movies on there, I think these are the two that I've actually seen.
Well, there you go.
But you said they were both big. They weren't both big.
Well, you
Bugs
said
Life
Kevin
was big.
Spacey, right? In
No,
one
I
of them?
didn't say that.
Drew said that.
Yeah, but I think in that film,
isn't
doesn't
Woody
that
Allen in
Kevin-
one of them too?
Kevin Spacey
Woody
plays
Allen's
the
in the
ant
other
who
one.
sexually
So this is
harasses
like
one
we
of the
could do
other
a
ants.
this is like we could do a perv. We could do a whole.
Yeah. Woody Allen.
You
plays
talk
one
about
of
a
the- one of
studio
the bugs.
cage match.
One of the bugs.
Ew.
Not to mention, on top of that, is this the first animated films we've ever done?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you may be right.
Wow.
Well, John, you've
We
seen the
went for
Descent.
the two best.
I have seen but most of them I have not seen. But I have seen The Descent. But I didn't see The Cave.
I didn't see The Cave.
So
I didn't see Liberty Stands Alone.
Again, I'm not suggesting you have to watch them. You just do a little research and we'll
wanna
talk
watch
about them.
well, but we're all going to do research. on
Yeah, I feel like watching the
IDMB,
movie to
so we're all
discuss
gonna
the
be saying
movie
the
is
same thing.
I don't want to
pretty
watch half
important.
these films. Are you kidding me? So, I'll just talk
But
numbers.
then what are we? All right.
All right. So I'll find out.
I'm sure there's
box
a lot
office
of movie review shows that they don't watch every, we're talking about the, like this one is interesting because of Kevin Spacey, Woody Allen,
Right.
kind of. I mean, that came up. That's sort of just happened. It's organic. So, I mean, it's interesting. Hey, we may do this for one show and then we're done.
Like a
So let's see.
criminal conspiracy.
Well, we enjoyed talking
Those are
about Seven
for the-
Samurai, so we should enjoy talking about Bye-Bye
And those
Life.
are for the sub-inspectors.
Yeah. Let's see how many
Where's
views this
the
generates.
rim shot there?
Yeah, I got it ready.
You got to have those
Come
sticks
on.
ready.
Gotta
Come on,
rim
get
yourself.
those sticks ready.
All right. So that's it.
I
Bugs
was
Life
out all that time.
and Ants.
Bugs Life and Ants. Yeah.
Have fun.
A B movie was with Jerry Seinfeld.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
B
right.
movie.
Bugs Life is Disney. David Foley.
Isn't Stallone in Ants?
He's an ant.
Okay.
I thought he was in B movie. I thought he was like one of the
Oh,
Holland jockeys.
You could
I
be
liked
right.
B movie. Actually.
David Foley was in A Bug's Life, right?
Yeah, Dave Foley was in A Bug's Life.
Woody Allen's in Ants.
Yes.
Right.
Sylvester Stallone. No, you're right. Sylvester Stallone plays like the soldier ant in Ant.
Right.
Oh,
I'm
this will be
picturing him
fun.
Yeah.
Double
My
D's.
enthusiasm.
Double D's. This will be great.
Double D's, baby.
All right.
I hate to
Can't
say,
go wrong.
had we still been going on the other wheel, I came up, I was going to pick a film I've always been curious, but now Robert Blake died. What's it? Electric Light in Blue from 1972.
That's a weird one.
I've seen that multiple times. Yes, that is a surprisingly good.
Well, put that on the shelf.
By
agree
a
with that.
one-time director.
We may be doing that in 2 weeks. If this doesn't go well, we'll just do that one. So,
Yeah, that's true. This is definitely kind of a Hail Mary.
by the way, this was mostly Chris's idea. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm just
wow.
Let me put it this way: I wasn't driving anywhere, so I was like 5-6 beers deep.
kidding. We were pretty deep, yeah. But
Hey, you know what I always wanted to do is remakes. Day the Earth Stood Still, Day the Earth Stood Still, Flight of the Phoenix, which
Okay.
one's better?
okay,
Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
table that one, and we'll maybe throw that in the mix.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Right.
I already know how it works out. Usually the old one's better.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Though it's hard to say about what is it, All Quiet on the Western Front, because I haven't seen the 1930 version.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah, it is a great movie. I haven't seen the new one yet.
The new one was very good.
It won a lot of awards, right?
Yeah, won the
Won a few.
I mean, think of it when you look at that movie, the original, and the time it was made. It was brutal.
Yeah. Okay. All right, everybody. Have a good week
Have a good one.
and enjoy the cartoons. See you later.